Welcome to Inside the Indians, your source for insider information on the Tribe. Stay with us as we bring you the latest about the players, managers, and people behind the scenes at Victory Field. Now here's your host, the longtime broadcast voice of the Indians, Howard Kellman.
Hi everybody, I'm Howard Kellman. Welcome to Inside the Indians. On today's show, we'll talk to skipper Bryan Esposito, outfielder Travon Robinson, and pitching coach Bryan Hickerson. We'll be back with Espo on the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. As always, the skipper, Bryan Esposito, our first guest on Inside the Indians. And Espo, this ball club has been playing great. You lost your first three to start the season. Nobody got down, and you've been great since then.
Yeah, we came out of spring training, 3 tough games to start the season. Got that first win. I think it was a special win, especially coming from behind in the 9th inning, and I felt as though that win led us to have the chemistry that we need to move some things forward. We got that. We got to Toledo. We got the ball rolling, and now we're getting to come back home, do some work on some of the things that we need to do, and we continue to keep that ball rolling.
You mentioned getting the ball rolling, and I mean, this is a team effort, and there's a great attitude on this ball club.
Yeah, everybody shows up. They want to do their part. They all want to pull for one another, and they're always striving to get better. So, no one shows up with a poor attitude. Everyone knows their role. Everyone is trying just to be the best player they can be on any given night.
I think this is also a team with a lot of talent, a lot of good young players.
Yeah, there's no doubt. When you look at the accolades and the prospect list and all that kind of stuff that comes through, yeah, there's some really talented players. There's some older players that have a lot of talent as well that are striving to get back to where they once were in the big league. So it's a good blend of our young prospects and then some veteran players that still have that good skill set to become good major league players once again.
You mentioned the older players, and a guy who is a veteran yet a newcomer is Jake Elmore, who's helped you in the infield and the outfield.
Yeah, it was a good pickup for us. We had a guy that was coming out of spring training with us who hasn't quite broke camp yet due to some injury. There was a need. We were able to acquire him from the White Sox, and it's been a great addition to our club, both offensively and defensively as well.
And we talk about young talent. We'll get to that in a moment. We had Gregory Polanco rehabbing, Elias Diaz rehabbing, and they were terrific in the role and the example they set. Yeah,
they led by example. They showed what it looks like to be a winning major league player. They've gone about their business the right way. They're both on the mend. They're both showing up every day, and they're both giving a really good effort as to what a big league player should look like and what it means to be a championship player as well. So great attitudes, great efforts, and then obviously they're doing their part in helping us win some games as well.
Yeah, it's really been very, very impressive, and you have some real good starting pitching too.
Yeah, these guys take the ball every 5th day. They set the tone. They have a lot of strong mentality in terms of what they want to do on the mound, and they want to attack hitters and get some guys out. Some young guys that are doing it, some guys that have gotten their feet wet here in the year prior, but for the most part, everyone's going out there and looking to be that guy that's going to set the tone for that night.
One of the guys who's gotten off to a great start, first baseman Will Craig. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he's a guy that came as advertised. He drove in over 100 runs last year in Altoona, hit about 20 homers. And that's real. To be able to do that in a minor league season, driving 100 runs and hit 20 home runs, you found a way to barrel up the baseball with runners in scoring position. So that trend has continued up here. He's really ran into a few good balls and drove them out of the ballpark, but he's also collecting some RBIs in some clutch moments. So he is coming in as advertised.
He's a AAA rookie. He was in AA Altoona. So is the shortstop Cole Tucker. Tell us about your feelings on him.
Another guy off the charts in terms of enthusiasm, and it's translated into a really good gameplay. He plays at a fast tempo. He's always moving. He's looking to find ways to beat his opponent, whether it be via bunt, stealing a bag, or taking some things away on defense, And then as far as his enthusiasm in the dugout and maximizing, the entire team's potential on the bench or in the clubhouse, it's relevant too. So he's showing up every day and he's doing his part.
Last year, you told me, you said, we have a third baseman in AA Altoona named Bryan Hayes. He's an outstanding fielder. He can hit. He's the third baseman of the future. It didn't take to the first inning on opening night to watch him make a great play.
Yeah, you know, saved us right then and there, saved us some runs, and saved our pen essentially. Because, you know, JT was in a little bit of a hole that inning. We get the double play ball, and then he makes a great play down the third base line, and it's exactly what I expected to see out of him. It's a primo glove defensively at third base. It's instincts off the charts, not just on defense, but in the batter's box and on the bases as well. You know, he's a threat, you know, at any point in time during the game to help us win.
He's the son of former major leaguer Charlie Hayes. When you get a player like that who's the son of a former big leaguer, does that mean something special?
Listen, any time that you are able to grow up in life and be able to pick the brain of a major league player, you know, we talk about being able to have conversation with guys that come in and visit or, you know, experience our stuff from veteran players. You know, what better than to sit in the same room and eat dinner every night with a guy that has, you know, 14 years of major league service time under his belt. You know, I couldn't imagine the lessons that he has learned. You know, he's been in a major league clubhouse before, so all this stuff that he's going through right now, he's seen it, you know, since he's a young child moving forward. So I'm sure it certainly helps.
Another guy who's really impressed us, a newcomer to the organization last year in the Andrew McCutchen trade. Tell us about Bryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's a guy that was very intriguing when we got him. You know, you look at some of the numbers he put up with the Giants while he was over there. Switch hitter who runs really well, great arm, great defensive player. New to an organization, so you could see last year him coming in, you know, he was just kind of trying to find his way through of how we do things and within his own personality. He had a hamate injury last year, so we missed some time, and then he was able to bounce back and finish pretty strong. Arizona Fall League, and he came to spring training this year in a much better spot, just understanding who he was and how he fit in to this organization with his personality, and it's been fun to watch him go out there and play the game. You know, he was slated to be our left fielder. Jason Martin winds up sliding up to the big leagues, and he has moved over to center field, and it's been a joy to watch him go out there and go about his business.
You know, one of the things you mentioned, Jason Martin, and the Pirates were really hard hit by injuries.
Yeah, you know, there were some things in place, and we had a bunch of players go down that didn't break camp with us. You know, obviously Polanco, we knew coming from last year that he was not going to break camp, but Chisenhall being hurt kind of shuffled our roster around. You know, there were some guys that were slated to come here that now have an opportunity at that major league level, which puts some guys here in an opportunity to do some certain things. And you know, we just want to make sure that we're providing the support that we need to send them to the big leagues when that phone rings, and not just to get there and fill a roster spot as a warm body, but we want our guys going up there and impacting and making it a tough decision of who to send down when these guys do get healthy and do go back up there.
You hit upon a key right there. It's not just to get to the big leagues, it's to have an impact, and hopefully now injuries change it, but you like to see a guy dominate at this level for a while before he gets to go there.
Yeah, that's the reality. You want guys to get the success and they have and build some confidence and go, but you know what? That's not the way the world works. It's not the way the game works. We need guys to go up whenever that phone rings to impact. So whatever it looks like, so we'll have them ready.
Thanks, Espo. See you next week.
My pleasure.
That's Bryan Esposito on the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. Outfielders, Travon Robinson, our next guest on Inside the Indians. Travon, here you were, born and raised in Los Angeles, and then you get to sign with the Dodgers. Take us back to that.
That was back in 2005, still a young guy. 17 years old, went to Crenshaw High, and yeah, I was shocked. I was more shocked than probably anybody, you know, that the Dodgers actually was looking at me the way they were. I thought it was going to be the Braves or something like that, but yeah, it was exciting, man, and I just couldn't wait to put the uniform on.
Now, did you play a lot of baseball growing up, connected with RBI, reviving baseball in the inner cities?
Yeah, my mom, I was just explaining this to somebody earlier today. Our mom had us playing everything. I just didn't play baseball. I played football, played a little bit of basketball, not that tall though, but she always kept us going because, you know, the gang activity in the neighborhoods and whatnot. So she always kept us going, and as I got older, I just fell in love with baseball. I was better at it, yeah.
Well, one of the things about baseball, you mentioned not being extremely tall, your size doesn't matter.
Size don't matter, nah, not at all. I think it's just, I think now you see a lot of big guys come around here. I think leverage plays, you know, a little bit of leverage, but for some reason I can run the bases a little bit faster when I was younger, you know.
What's happened with a lot of African-American kids is they drift more to football and basketball in this era, and a program like RBI, reviving baseball in the inner cities, can foster them toward baseball like it did for you.
Absolutely. I think RBI paved the way for a lot of players, more so myself, because it was always around. You know, you see in other privileged neighborhoods, is the reason why, because yes, they do have a lot of money, but more so that it's baseball available year round. You know, being in California, you have no excuse not to play. The weather's beautiful, you know, all this stuff. And RBI, especially me playing in high school, we always had a spring tournament. You know, that was, a lot of scouts came out to there, but it was pretty unique, man. And I always tried to stay close to John Young. He was a very, very good guy just to pick his head, you know, just about baseball, how he played the game.
John Young was the founder of RBI, from Los Angeles too, like yourself, a friend of mine. He played against the Indianapolis Indians in Evansville. And I want you to know, I think his lifetime batting average is 500. I think he was 2 for 4 in his stint in the big leagues. Yeah. But great guy.
Yeah, very, very nice guy, man. Very kind-hearted, man. Very kind-hearted person, man, and I'll miss him to this day. You know.
And he was a scout. Now, last Monday was Jackie Robinson Day. When I mention the name Jackie Robinson, give us your thought. What comes to your mind?
I mean, it's very powerful. Very powerful name. I don't know how to even go with this. Hell of a player for one. But what he did off the field and what he endured, like, you know, what he had to go through, you know, on and off the field, you know. I think it made baseball a little bit easier for him, you know, what he was going through off the field. But, I mean, just the bravery of what he done is, I don't think I can be in his shoes. You know, some big shoes, man. You know, what he created, that was some really big shoes. And I don't think nobody in this day and age can, you know, fill them. But he paved the way for a lot of us, you know.
Well, at UCLA, he was a 4-star athlete, and some people said baseball was his 4th best sport.
Man, I just think he was a hell of an athlete, man. He's a really, really good athlete that I was amazed that he said that, you know, baseball was kind of his 4th best sport, like you said. And I was like, well, what else did he play? You know, did he play basketball, play football? I seen some tapes of him playing football, too.
Track.
He ran track. He also ran track, but I seen more so his football videos. That was my second love is football, too. So, but I seen him play football, and I was like, wow, this guy is really, really good.
Well, you're a switch hitter. Tell us the story behind you becoming a switch hitter.
Oh, I was forced to do it. I started switch hitting in 2000, well, full-time 2006. So when I got drafted in 2005, a couple weeks into the season, the Gulf Coast League season, they asked me, like, hey, have you ever tried switch hitting? I'm like, no. These straight face, no, I never did it. And they started having me working on it. I remember I was in Vero Beach. I was in the cage at like 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, working left-handed. And I mean, I guess it paid off, but, you know, I worked it was a lot of nights. I lost a lot of sleep on it, you know, but I stayed at it. It was a couple times I wanted to quit, but yeah, in 2006, I came in spring training as a switch hitter. You know.
Are you glad you did it?
I'm glad I stuck with it. Because if I didn't, I would probably have to learn how to play infield or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Be a little bit more versatile. But, I mean, it was hard, man. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Tell
us about the benefit of switch hitting is having that breaking ball coming into you.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hit it first. You ain't going to hit a good breaking ball. But, I mean, I just think, you know, just seeing pitches come in, but now a lot of guys got sinkers. But, you know, I just learned to bring that sinker closer to me. But it's a lot easier. It's definitely a lot better than seeing a righty slider. It's one thing I do not miss at all when I was right-handed, you know. But yeah, everything coming into me felt great, you know. And the next thing is just getting those balls up. That's it.
Tell us a highlight or two from your time in the major leagues.
Rob Torrey Hunter in my debut. That was awesome.
Tell us the story, man.
Well, my first game, I told everybody, I told all the guys, I was like, hey, man, I'm nervous, man. He was like, oh, man, once you get up there to play, you put the ball in play, you'll be all right. I told Brandon League, I was like, man, you know, I think I just need to catch a fly ball. After I think they ended the first, I ended up catching the third out on Vernon Wells' line drive. And I was like, oh, God, okay, it's just a regular game now. Then I went up to a bat and I seen a sinker from, you can't teach that sinker that Weaver threw. You know, he threw it right behind me. He came in for a strike, and I was like, wow, okay. But then the next inning right there, I ended up robbing Torrey for a home run. We had him shift all the way to left center field. I was all the way in the left center field gap. I felt like I was running like 100 yards, you know, and ended up coming with it. And I was more shocked than anybody else in the whole ballpark. You know, everybody was like, oh, I was like, oh, what happened? You know, and I looked at my glove and I caught it. I was like, wow, okay. Well, I mean, it was tough walking past Torrey Hunter, man, because that dude is massive. He's a big dude, man. So, yeah, that was one of my highlights, man.
Well, Travon, great to have you aboard. Thank you so much, and best of luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Tribe outfielder Travon Robinson on the home of the Indians, WHMV TV 40. Bryan Hickerson, the Indianapolis Indians pitching coach, our next guest on Inside the Indians. Bryan, the Indians are off to a great start. Let's get your overall thoughts on the pitching staff.
Well, we have a group of starters that have come up through the system and are proven to be competitive guys with the stuff that they require to get people out at this level. And I believe at the next, they're growing. They're learning how to do this at a higher competitive level and what it takes to get better hitters out. So the bullpen, we're stacked in the bullpen with guys that not only throw hard but have a secondary pitch that is, really good.
When you say a secondary pitch, do you usually mean a pitch other than a fastball?
Yeah, curveball, slider, split, something like that. Each guy down there has something to bring to the game.
Any difference for you being the pitching coach now in AAA as opposed to AA?
Sure. This level, we've already seen guys, position players-wise, go up and down. We have to have them ready for the atmosphere in the big leagues and what's required of them there. And, of course, there's a mix of players here, unlike in AA, where you have guys with big league experience and guys that are coming up. And so getting those guys to gel and work together is more of a challenge, but, totally doable. And we have a great group of guys here to do that.
Whether it's pitching, whether it's hitting, baseball's a hard game to play, and confidence levels waver. I would think one of the jobs of a coach, whether it's a pitching coach, hitting coach, manager, is to try to keep the guys' confidence high.
Sure. For me, confidence, and I'll speak for pitchers, I believe it's true for the other guys as well. Confidence is the number one thing I believe a pitcher has to have to get better and to get to the next level. And once they have that, then we can start working on how they execute their pitches, what sequences they might use, and all that kind of stuff. But confidence has to be there. You
often hear a pitcher talk about mechanics, but if your confidence isn't right, that can adversely affect your mechanics.
Sure. When confidence is struggling or there's a roller coaster in confidence, that is often what leads to a change in mechanics. So to get those mechanics back, we go back to the confidence thing, get back to where we used to be, and usually it takes care of itself.
When you're confident, you pitch with conviction. Absolutely. When you're not confident, and it happens to everybody goes through rough stretches, you pitch with hope, and we know hope's not a strategy.
Right, it's not for baseball.
So tell us about pitching with conviction as opposed to being a little uncertain.
Well, to me, it's guys knowing themselves well enough, and that's sometimes a challenge as well. Know what their weapons are as a pitcher and have the confidence that this pitch, I will get you out with this pitch. From the first pitch they throw in the game to the last pitch before they're taken out of the game, they have to have that every single pitch. You can't take a pitch off because you can't take a pitch off in the big leagues.
There's an old line that used to say, hitting is timing and pitching is destroying timing. Well, in this day and age, it's a lot about power pitching, and that's one of the ways the game has changed.
Sure, but it still does the same thing. Hitters are awfully bigger, stronger, faster, react faster than they used to, and pitchers throw harder, and that's why it's reached the level it is, because both have gotten better. And so it's still the same game. Pitchers are trying to disrupt where hitters are best, and hitters are trying to get the pitcher to give them what they want. So that's what makes baseball fun.
Mitch Keller was rated the Pirates' #1 prospect by several publications. Tell us your thoughts on Mitch.
Well, Mitch is just one of these guys that you never have to doubt his competitiveness. He obviously has the tools to pitch in the big leagues. I think being at this level now, he's becoming aware of how to use those tools to be effective at the next level. And that's the learning curve when you face a lineup that you don't have to worry about maybe 3 hitters in, but you have to worry about a lot more in the big leagues. You have to think about all 9. all 9 of them can do damage. So that's where he's at, but I think he's in a good spot and look forward to seeing what he does here.
One guy who put himself on the radar last year and is off to a good start this year is JT Brubaker.
Yeah, same with him. Watched him go through some growing pains in AA and have some rough outings in 2017 and finish that season in the playoffs doing extremely well, pitching with extreme confidence. And he picked that up in 2018 and got here, and he did the same job here. So he's another young man that knows who he is, knows his weapons, and he's learning how to use those.
Alex McRae's last start wasn't as good, but he was terrific in his first 2 starts. Get your thoughts on Alex.
Alex is a guy I've always appreciated because he's proven to me that he's competitive. And I've seen him not get out of the first inning before and yet come back. He never gives up, never gives in. And that's a quality that every pitcher needs to have regardless of their role. And so because he has that, to me, he's always got a chance to use his stuff and get people out at the next level as well.
Bryan, as always, pleasure having you on. Thank you so much. Best of luck.
Thank you.
That's Bryan Hickerson, the Indianapolis Indians pitching coach. And this is the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. We'd like to thank our guests, Bryan Esposito, Travon Robinson, and Bryan Hickerson. See you next week on Inside the Indians.